I was a big fan of Cosmic Spacehead back when I was younger. I first played it on the NES, although only at a friend's house, so I didn't really get too far into it. It wasn't until I borrowed a friend's Mega Drive where they had a copy of the enhanced version that I got to play the game, and I ended up seeing it through to completion in the space of a couple of days. I loved it. It was an interesting idea. Take a traditional point-and-click adventure game and merge it with a platform game. Back then, it seemed pretty novel to merge two genres together, although nowadays it's a bit clearer to see that the two genres are kind of bolted side by side as opposed to being merged exactly. But regardless, Cosmic Spacehead was a good time, and unlike anything I'd previously played. I'd never gotten around to playing the Master System version of the game though, which is what I'm looking at today, until I booted the game up and realised that I have indeed played the Master System version, because this is the laziest NES port I've seen in a good long while. The two versions are practically identical, and it's clear that no real effort went into this. I mean, from the graphics alone, you can tell this is a NES colour palette. This is as direct a port as you're ever likely to get. But graphics aren't everything, of course. There's still a game beneath that painfully lazy veneer, so how does it stand up? I dislike it. Let me drop a spoiler warning right now. I will be using some of the puzzles in this game for example purposes, but I won't be covering all of them. If that's something that bothers you, then fair enough. My too long didn't watch version of this review is, I loved this game. I now no longer hold it in high regard. I would still recommend trying it out anyway, just in case you're one of those people who likes all the things I don't like. It's a unique little curio, if nothing else, and that alone makes it worth checking out. For everyone else, let's move on. So, firstly, what is Cosmic Spacehead all about? Well, with typical Codemaster's style, it's a slightly balmy premise. You, as Lionel, crash-landed on planet Earth. When you made it back to your planet Linoleum, yes, you told everyone about it, but they all thought you were talking bollocks. So now it's your job to go back to Earth to get the evidence required to make people believe you, only you don't have any of the things that would necessitate either going there or gathering evidence, so you need to find a camera, a spaceship, and other sundry bits and pieces. Of course, none of this is quite as simple as merely nipping down to Curry's. This is a point-and-click adventure game, so you're going to be spending most of your time picking up completely unrelated crap that you find lying around, and then wandering about using your pockets full of rubbish and other things until something eventually works. It starts off relatively simply, in all fairness. The puzzles are obtuse, but because you're usually carrying a very small number of items, and because the number of things you can interact with is equally small, it's fairly easy to deduce what needs to be used where. And even if you can't work it out, using everything on everything will typically open up the next section. This puzzle here, for instance, sees a big monster blocking your way. You've got a balloon in your inventory, so of course give the monster the balloon and it'll float away. Notice I use the words of course there. It's only obvious once you've played the game for a short while, because the solutions to a lot of Cosmic Spacehead's puzzles are outside the box thinking. Another example, I need to get over this cold lake. What could I possibly use to do that? Maybe I could pole vault across? Or perhaps I could build a boat or a bridge at some point. Let me have a look in my inventory and see what I have. Icing sugar. Yes. I have to use icing sugar in the water to turn it into ice. Of course I do. This is Cosmic Spacehead. Each puzzle you solve typically leads you to a new area of the map, something that you'll become extremely familiar with because you'll be looking at it every single time you move from one location to the next. When you first move to a new location, however, you'll be taken to one of Cosmic Spacehead's side-scrolling platforming sections. Much like the puzzle-solving elements, this all starts off easy enough, and it initially feels quite nice to break up the puzzle-solving with a little bit of action. What you'll most likely notice immediately, however, is that Lionel handles like an absolute dream. And not a good dream, but one of those dreams where you're trying to get away from something and your legs suddenly turn into sponge. Everything feels floaty and imprecise, which is fine when you're just getting through the first couple of sections, but when later areas introduce single-width platforms, this handling makes the platforming sections something to dread. It's not helped by the fact that Lionel can't do anything other than jump. There's no way to attack enemies, so your key to getting through these sections is avoidance. All well and good, but when you need to bridge a huge gap, you'll find that enemies you're trying to avoid can't be seen until it's too late to do anything about it. This requires waiting. A lot of waiting. You need to wait before you take a leap to see if there are any enemies on patrol on the ledge you're about to jump to. You need to wait for enemies to move out of the way when you're trying to move forward. You need to wait for enemies to turn around and come back to you so you can jump over them. You need to wait a lot because Lionel is useless. A useless, draining waste of space. And this is one of the main reasons that the game really falls down for me. Not just these platforming sections, which mercifully only need to be completed once before they're done. But in the game as a whole, there is so much downtime. It often feels like a walking simulator. Nothing will drain the life out of you more than realizing that the piece to the puzzle you're holding and the place you need to use it are on opposite ends of the map. Again. First you walk off to the side, then you watch the map animation. Then you walk off to the side, then you watch the map animation. Then you walk off to the side, and then you watch the map animation over and over and over again. And the game continually does this to you. If there's one thing this game likes to do, it likes to give you the key to something that is the furthest away from you. And in some cases, make you walk back again. If you can stomach that, then fine. It's not the most egregious of tasks, but it's not exactly fun. And it's compounded by some puzzle solutions that made me wince when I realised what I needed to do. They weren't moments of, I figured this out. They were moments of, Jesus Christ, not this shit again. The puzzle elements that are the worst for this usually revolve around one of two things: teleporters and money. Let's start with teleporters. You're warned fairly on that using the teleporters may have unusual side effects, but on using one for the first time, depending which one you get in, you likely won't notice that much of a difference, or any difference. You may have, stupidly, assumed that the teleporters are actually just a way to quick travel from place to place, instead of constantly waiting for the map animation to finish, until you realise that the teleport animation takes just as long, if not longer. So for the most part, you may just end up ignoring the teleporters until they're literally the last thing you've fannied about with, and then you realise that each teleporter does something different to you, and that they're the key to most of the puzzles on offer. One teleporter will clone you, for instance, which you need to take advantage of to hold a button down. With another, it makes you flash, which allows you to see in a dark tunnel. In another, you can suddenly teleport through the air. None of it particularly makes sense, because Cosmic Spacehead, but you'll find that teleporters become the answer to a lot of puzzles. Unfortunately, just to pad things out, some of the teleporters are one way only, which means you'll need to walk all the way to the other side of the map in order to teleport back to where the puzzle needs solved. Are you sensing a theme here? This is all well and good though. Puzzles are, for the most part, something that you can work out on your own, and that sense of achievement when you finally work out a solution is only diluted by the length of time it took you to get there. There's still some semblance of entertainment in working it out, even if, a lot of the time, working it out is the equivalent of sticking your dick in everything to see if it feels nice. There's a much more egregious thing at play here though, and that's money. Money is required for quite a few elements of Cosmic Spacehead. You'll need it to buy a lot of items that you need in order to get any further into the game, and there's only one way to make money: gambling. At the start of the game you'll find a Lino dollar. $1 isn't going to be enough for what you need, so a few screens over you'll come across a fruit machine. Stick your dollar in and hooray! You've got yourself a jackpot, 50 Lino dollars. And if that was it, that would be fine, but no, that's not it. After you've bought a few necessities, you'll soon realise, later on, you need another 50 Lino dollars to buy something else. So you head back to the fruit machine, and you put a coin in. Oh, I've lost that time. Another coin. 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 So after what feels like 3 birthdays and a Sunday afternoon, you'll hit the jackpot again and you can go back to what you need. Whether you win or lose at the fruit machine is completely random, unless it's your last Lino dollar where you'll win back 50. I decided to try and plan ahead for the inevitable next purchase I needed to make, so I sat there for another 2 weekends squirreling money into the fruit machine, not winning a penny until I finally shoved that last coin in. Back up to 50 though. Perfect. That'll do me nicely. Job's a good 'un. Or at least it would have been. After a bit more adventuring, I make it to the camera shop. 50 quid for the camera. Lionel states, I don't have enough for that. Yes you do, Lionel. You've got 50 quid. I don't have enough for that, he repeats. I realise pretty quickly what's going on at this point. He won't hand over the solid 50 because he needs a coin left over to put back in the fruit machine. So the game wants me to traipse my arse all the way back to the other side of the map, yet again, to stand there in front of that fruit machine, yet again, and keep emptying dollars into it one at a time until I have more than 50. No. No, I am done. The game has already exhausted my patience. This was just a middle finger to my expert planning. It's so strange to come back to a game that you remembered really fondly and finding that it does absolutely nothing for you anymore. As a kid, I never noticed the amount of blatant padding the game had. I was more focused on the fact that this was a point-and-click adventure game, and those things rarely made it to consoles. Not only that, but it had platforming bits in it. 2 games in one. But everything about the game just feels good enough. It's not a bad game. It's not one that makes you think, why did you make this? Why are you committing this to cartridge? But nothing about it particularly excites or entertains. It drags its arse across the carpet while staring at you blankly, whispering, are you enjoying yourself? No, I'm not enjoying myself, Lionel. I'm saddened. This is a whole heap of complaining, so it seems fairly obvious that I should slap a not recommended sticker on the box and have it done, but no. As much as I've whined on like a little bitch, this game is niche enough, especially on the Master System, for me to say that you've really got to try this one for yourself. It's one of those games where I can say that personally, it's not for me, but it's not executed in a way that's truly off-putting. There's elements of humour here, a cartoony graphic style, some surprising gameplay mix-up, a merging of genres and dialogue that consistently makes you say, what? It deserves to be played simply for trying something different, and who knows, you might be a lot luckier with fruit machines than I am.